Hello all again. This is supposed to be the third video, but I'm making this my fourth, and it's about politics because of I wanted to talk about that anyway in general in relation to Jesus, Christianity, and where Christians fall on that. I was 18 in 1992, and my first election. I've mainly been independent, registered in my life, and I voted for Ross Perot. People remember back in the day because I didn't like George Bush's dad and at all, and I didn't know about Clinton back then. So I voted for Perot because even at the time I remember thinking, yeah, a businessman would be cool. Someone who's not technically a politician back even at 18. Oh, and I'm going with my Magnum look today. If I only had the tiger hat, that'd be perfect. Yeah, but it's interesting because with all the debates going on now and all the the craziness going on now, that to me is, and there's nothing wrong with obviously being where you are, either Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian. There's so many, the main ones though. I'm an independent register-wise. I mean, that's what that's what I am because, and yeah, I've voted for both sides in my life, actually. But I've tried to vote in my past on kind of just who I thought would make the better candidate at the time. And, for where I was living or just in general. But the devil, in my opinion, the devil is, in general, the devil will distract with politics. There's, you can go to it splits families. You go to any internet site, Facebook, YouTube, comment site, X, formerly Twitter. Anyone is so ruthless in the sense of dividing. I mean, you can agree on anything else in life, but if you start talking, if one person's a Democrat and one person's a Republican, or speaking, if you're in another country, opposite sides of the political spectrum, it'll just divide you, and you'll hate that person for life. Especially nowadays, everything's so divisive. You got to focus on Jesus because here's the thing: ultimately, what's going to happen is going to happen, and it doesn't mean you can't vote for who you like. It just means that you got to look to the world has already been. It's already been. It's over and over. There's nothing new under the sun. Politicians have come and go. Emperors, kings. God is still there, and God is the one who allows things to happen or makes things happen or choose whatever God wants to do. So ultimately, it's God and Jesus who you have to look at. Don't get distracted, or easy to say, I know, but don't with all the stuff thrown at you every day. But God is the one in control. Don't ever forget that. Even if it seems like the person who won is gonna mess everything up or blah blah blah, God's the one in control. And sometimes He allows bad things, and sometimes He makes things happen. God is gonna do what He's gonna do. All I'm saying is don't think everything's just. Be cognizant of and aware, but. Go on with your life and do what you're going to do, and focus on God first, because the events that are happening, the crime, all the crap in the world these days, everywhere, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. You got to be a fool not to acknowledge that. And there's so much lying and deception, and everyone is lying now. It seems like when you're in the press isn't all a joke. I remember even back in the day growing up, yeah, you still had some good ones. That just seems a lot of the press is just in people in the public eye, or just, especially it's all deception. It's all sleight of hand. Look at this while we're doing this, whatever it is. And it goes on both sides. I can't let me tell you honestly, and this is straight truth. I can't stand politicians. In general, I have voted, yes, but I can't stand them. It seems to always be in the lesser of two evils. It always seems to be, well, this person, only threw one dog off a bridge today instead of two, that kind of crap. And it's just like, oh, well, I don't like throwing dogs off bridges. I'm against throwing dogs off bridges. I'm going to make a group against throwing dogs off bridges. But that person did it once, so they're okay instead of twice. Politicians are shit. They just are. They always have been, and they always will be. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to get one or two here throughout the years that is not bad or trying to do good, but they're going to get swallowed up usually by the all the deception, because it's out of control. And it's a divisive subject, but I think if you're honest with yourself, you realize what they are. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with voting. There's nothing wrong with, obviously, people died for your right to vote. And you know what? People died for your right not to vote. That's another thing. You have the freedom to do that either way. But as a Christian, I would say, yeah, try to, whomever it is, at least try to align. See, that's the thing. Try to align yourself with what your candidate is saying, that if it's closer to what you believe from a Christian standpoint. Yes, I try to do that. But on the other side of that, words as well. You can sit there all day long and say this. I mean, they all pander. I mean, you have to be discerning and ask God for discernment. I think that's also what it comes down to. Who's fake and who's not, and they're all so damn fake. It's just, but ultimately it comes down to pray about it and vote for at least who you think is going to be more in line with what you believe, because that's all that matters is is your belief in God and Jesus when it comes down to it. Again, when you die, that's what's going to matter, not whether you voted for so and so. But there really is nothing new biblically, as it said, under the sun. They're all the same, and nothing. It's not just politicians; it's life. Everything goes around and comes back around. But in this age of politics, where it's so divisive and destroying families, I mean, here's the thing: if you completely disagree with like a family member or a friend, and you love that family member or friend, don't talk about politics. Literally, just say, "Hey, we know we disagree." We may be beyond that in this society, but let your love or your like for your friend or love for your family supersede the divisiveness of your disagreements, because ultimately that doesn't matter. And there's going to be another one washed up from the LA River in another 4 years and another 2 years and another. They're all just, they come out of the woodworks and out of the woodwork, and they are not. Again, you can see I'm not a fan of politicians, but vote. I wish you could vote for Jesus, because that's the ultimate. But it's funny. I have a T-shirt that says Keith Richards for president. And there's another one I want to get that says Steve McQueen for president. Steve McQueen's dead, and Keith Richards is British, so neither of those can run. But that's my point. I mean, I would be voting for them. I'm not a fan. You could say I'm coming from more of a liberal mindset in the sense of I'm from Los Angeles, I'm a band, he was raised in LA and New York, but not really. I mean, yes and yes, a little bit, but not really. Meaning, yes, I was in that environment, and yes, I've had my moments of that, and I've had my moments of voting for conservative people, and I voted for liberal people, but mainly I've stuck with the independent. I really have. I'm very much that way. I through my life have voted for candidates that I thought were going to do, like I said, good for the area that I'm in, or just in general, whether they be liberal or conservative or whatever, because they're for the whomever it was, or independents. That's just the way I am, and I make no apologies for it. But again, you got to look to God first. You have to, because he's the one that's in control. Just realize that as you're voting. Yes, there's nothing wrong with voting for someone who you think is going to align more with your beliefs, but also know that they might be full of crap, and they might completely go back on that the day they're in. So there's that. So it's, again, pandering. A lot of every politician panders. I don't care what anyone says. They all do. You just have to, if you're determined to vote, look at the one that's pandering less. Again, lesser of two evils. Less, is more in line with what you're thinking. But biblically speaking, render unto Caesar what Caesar's is Caesar's. Meaning, the government is the government, and put that in a category. And put God in his God is the main category. I mean, God is the one. So you have to. And render unto Caesar, meaning, yeah, biblically speaking, pay your taxes. But there's not really paying your taxes, but I'm also meaning it in another way, I guess, saying, in your head, the government's the government. Jesus is going to be the ultimate government. And I just wanted to make a video that's just saying that you got to focus and pray on the one who brought you, meaning Jesus and meaning God. And you're not going to, yes, we remember politicians from the past. Hey, there's a train horn going, if you can hear that, maybe not. I wish that was the rapture, honestly, at this point. But I think the horns would sound different and I would be disappearing. And I mean that, I believe in that. So there's that. But yeah, just focus on what, when heated issues come up. Don't get involved in stupid commentaries on like Facebook and YouTube when it comes to arguments, because most of the time you're not going to convince that person who's completely liberal or completely conservative of the opposite viewpoint, who's like it's not that someone who's maybe kind of in the middle can be, see a point, like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I always respect people that can do that. Yes, I don't like, old school liberals or, even old school conservatives who can say, okay, yeah, I'm conservative, I'm liberal, but I see your point, and yeah, let me think about that because you might be right. You don't have that anymore. It's one of the reasons too that I'm independent, because like there are things I can pick from both sides and be like, yeah, okay, that's cool, that's legit. But if you're not even willing to open your mind or let someone else talk on the other side of the spectrum, then that just makes you a fool. To me, it makes you foolish, because you're not you at least listen. I mean, without screaming or trying to stifle speech or trying to stop someone from speaking because they don't agree with you. It's just petty and it's weak. Honestly, it's just I don't respect that at all. But politics, schmolitics. Just look to the thing that matters. You think one of these candidates, whomever it is in any country, your presidents, your prime ministers, your senators, your congresspeople, congressmen, congresswomen, you think they're really going to be standing there when you die? Like, you voted for me. You're coming in. You're getting into heaven. Nah. God is. Jesus is. Just remember that. Shorter video, but I wanted to say something about that because we're coming up on an election here in the U.S. soon. Not just for president. I mean, there's always local voting and all that stuff. So just be aware of that as you vote, and just remember that the world will continue. Or there's probably not much at this point. From my belief, there's not much left. I mean, just the way it's going. We're such a destructive world at this point, but very much days of Noah-like. But just be aware of that. And if things happen that are you think are bad or this or that, just know God is in control, and sometimes things are allowed, and don't give up on God, because he's the one that matters ultimately. All right, I'm out. Always go with Jesus. Bye.